Did you know that something as simple as your morning shower could be silently putting your life at risk? It sounds unbelievable, right? After all, taking a shower is just a normal part of our daily routine. But what if I told you that the time you step into that shower could dramatically increase your risk of falling, fainting, or even suffering a life-threatening event, especially if you're over 70? Just last month, a healthy 75-year-old man named Stanley Peterson was found collapsed on the bathroom floor of his home in suburban Massachusetts. He exercised, ate well, kept up with his visits, and yet, one morning, everything changed, all because of a shower. A shower taken during a specific window of time that medical researchers now call the danger zone for seniors. You see, after the age of 65, our bodies change in ways we don't always notice. Blood pressure becomes more unstable. Core body temperature drops overnight. Vision becomes less reliable in low light. And if you combine all that with hot water, medications, and early morning dehydration, it's the perfect storm for an accident. And most seniors don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. What happened to Stanley isn't an isolated case. It's a growing concern backed by research from Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and the National Institute on Aging. And yet, very few people are talking about it. That's exactly why this video exists. Because we're going to walk through the 7 hidden dangers of showering at the wrong time and show you the small, life-saving adjustments you can make to your daily routine. We're not here to scare you. We're here to empower you with the knowledge to protect yourself, your spouse, or even your aging parents. You'll learn why your blood pressure might crash in the shower, how dehydration overnight can increase your fall risk by 70%, and the one deadly mistake seniors make with their medication and morning showers. And the best part? Every solution is simple, practical, and completely within your control. So if you're over 65, or you care about someone who is, don't miss this. Hit the subscribe button right now and turn on notifications because the next few minutes could quite literally save a life. Let's begin with the most dangerous shower time for seniors and why it's the one moment no one talks about. The hidden danger of early morning showers. Frank Delaney never thought twice about his morning routine. Every day, just before sunrise, he would wake up, quietly slip on his robe, and make his way to the bathroom before anyone else was stirring. It gave him peace. It gave him purpose. And at 70, living alone in a quiet neighborhood outside Boston, that 6 a.m. shower was one of the few moments he had all to himself. But one morning, something went terribly wrong. His daughter Linda had stopped by for a surprise breakfast visit. She rang the bell. No answer. The coffee she'd brought. That was still warm when she found him on the bathroom floor, unconscious, skin pale, the water still running. The paramedics said his blood pressure had dropped so fast it caused him to collapse before he could even call for help. The doctors later explained something Linda had never heard before, a phenomenon known as the morning surge. You see, as we age, particularly after 70, our bodies don't regulate blood pressure the way they used to. Overnight, your blood pressure naturally dips as you sleep. But in those early morning hours, between 4 and 8 a.m., it spikes rapidly. That sharp rise, especially when combined with standing, hot water, and medications, creates what researchers now call the perfect storm for heart attacks, strokes, and fainting episodes. Harvard Medical School has even documented that seniors are 80% more likely to suffer a serious cardiovascular event if they shower during that early morning window. And yet, most people have no idea. They think, I've always showered in the morning. It's never been a problem. But aging changes the game. What was once harmless can now be hazardous. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your body is quietly changing in ways you might not feel until it's too late. And Frank? He had no warning, no sign that his peaceful morning routine would betray him. But the truth is, this could happen to anyone, to your neighbor, your spouse, even to you. But here's the good news. This risk is completely avoidable. In fact, by simply shifting your shower time to later in the morning, between 10 a.m. and noon, you allow your body to stabilize, your blood pressure to level out, and your alertness to return. A simple change, a life-saving difference. So take a moment today to reflect. Is your current shower time putting you or a loved one at risk? A sticky note on the mirror, a small shift in schedule. It could mean everything. 2. When hot water becomes a hidden threat. For over 30 years, Dorothy Mills started her mornings the same way, with a long, hot shower. It was her little comfort, her way of waking up gently, the steam, the warmth, the quiet hum of water. It was like a hug for the body and soul. But last winter, something felt different. She had just stepped into the shower, the water as warm as ever, when a strange wave of dizziness washed over her. Her heart started racing. Her vision blurred for a moment. She managed to hold onto the grab bar and steady herself, but it was terrifying. At her next checkup, her doctor said something that surprised her. He explained that as we grow older, our bodies lose the ability to regulate temperature the way they used to. After the age of 70, the internal thermostat slows down. We don't adjust to sudden changes in temperature as quickly, that soothing hot shower. It can actually shock your system, especially when taken early in the morning when your core body temperature is at its lowest. This thermal shock can confuse the cardiovascular system. Your blood vessels suddenly dilate from the heat, your blood pressure drops, and the heart tries to compensate, sometimes triggering irregular rhythms, even fainting. Dorothy's doctor wasn't being alarmist. He was being honest. There have been cases of seniors suffering serious cardiac events during or shortly after a hot morning shower, not because of disease, but because of temperature shock the body simply couldn't handle anymore. Thankfully, Dorothy made 2 simple changes. First, she adjusted her water temperature down to lukewarm, around 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It still felt comfortable, but it no longer shocked her system. Second, her grandson helped install a scald prevention valve, a small, inexpensive device that keeps the water temperature from getting too hot, even by accident. Those tiny adjustments brought back her peace of mind and protected her from something she didn't even know was putting her at risk. So ask yourself, when was the last time you checked the actual temperature of your shower water? Is it too hot for a heart that doesn't recover the way it used to? 3. The dangerous timing of blood pressure medication. Every morning at 6:30 sharp, George Whitman would reach for his tiny white pill, his prescribed dose of Leopil, and chase it down with a glass of water. It was a habit he'd followed for years. Then he'd shuffle down the hallway, still in his slippers, and head straight for the shower. It seemed harmless, routine even, until one Tuesday morning when his wife, Eleanor, heard a loud thud from the bathroom. She rushed in to find George slumped on the floor, disoriented and pale. His heart was still beating, but he couldn't stand. He could barely speak. At the hospital, the doctors connected the dots. George had experienced a sudden and severe drop in blood pressure, medically known as hypertension. The culprit? A double drop effect that happens more often than people realize. First, the blood pressure medication peaks in George's system about 1 to 2 hours after taking it. Second, the hot water and standing position in the shower further dilated his blood vessels, pushing his blood pressure even lower. It was a silent trap. one that could have easily turned fatal. According to cardiologists at Mayo Clinic, this overlap between medication effect and morning showering is one of the most overlooked risks for seniors. It's not the medication itself that's the problem, it's the timing, especially when taken immediately before showering, during the body's most vulnerable hours. After that scare, George changed two simple things. He now waits at least 2 hours after taking his blood pressure medicine before stepping into the shower, giving his body time to adjust. He also showers mid-morning, around 10:30 a.m., when his energy is more stable and his blood pressure is less likely to crash. Those small changes gave him back a sense of safety and gave Ellen a peace of mind. So if you're taking blood pressure medication, whether it's lisinopril, amlodipine, or another common prescription, take a moment to think about your timing. Is your daily routine accidentally setting you up for a fall? You have the power to change that, starting tomorrow morning. 4. The dangers you can't see until it's too late. It was still dark when Walter Jennings, 81, shuffled toward the bathroom. He didn't want to wake his wife, so he didn't turn on the hallway light. Just a quick shower, he thought, just like every other morning. But the quiet was broken moments later by a crash. His wife, Carol, found him crumpled on the bathroom floor. One leg twisted, a towel rack pulled halfway from the wall. Walter had slipped on a small puddle he never saw. Not because he wasn't careful, but because his eyes, at that early hour, simply couldn't see what was there. Doctors later confirmed he had fractured his hip, a few inches in the wrong direction, and it could have been his head. It's a story told far too often. As we age, our contrast sensitivity, the ability to distinguish between objects, shadows, and edges declines. And in low light, especially during those pre-dawn hours, the bathroom becomes a danger zone. White tiles, clear water, slippery surfaces, they all blend together, making hazards invisible. The National Institute on Aging reports that seniors over 70 experience up to a 60% decline in visual clarity in low-light conditions. That means something as small as a wet floor or the edge of a bath mat can disappear from view until it's too late. But there's good news. This is another danger that's completely preventable. After his fall, Walter's son installed motion-activated nightlights along the hallway and in the bathroom. Now, whenever Walter walks in, the space gently lights up. No switches, no fumbling in the dark. They also replaced the plain, faded bath mat with a bright yellow non-slip mat that stands out clearly, even in dim light. These simple changes transform the bathroom from a hazard into a haven. So ask yourself this. Does your bathroom lighting truly support your vision at 5 a.m.? Can you clearly see the floor, the shower edge, the towel hook, without straining your eyes? If the answer isn't a firm yes, it's time to make a few small updates that could make a world of difference. Because sometimes the greatest risks are the ones we never see coming. If this video gave you a new sense of awareness or a quiet moment of hope for yourself, a parent, or someone you love, let us know in the comments. Sometimes just sharing that hope can inspire someone else to take action too. What small change will you make starting tomorrow? 5. The hidden risk of morning dehydration. At 7:15 every morning, Marvin Blake would head into the bathroom, start the water, and step into the warm spray of his daily shower. He didn't eat breakfast beforehand. Didn't drink much water either. "I'll hydrate after," he always told his wife, Evelyn. But one morning, Marvin didn't make it out of the shower. He'd been feeling slightly dizzy for a few days, but brushed it off as nothing serious. That day, he fainted. His legs gave out, and he collapsed in the tub. It took Evelyn several minutes to realize something was wrong. When the paramedics arrived, they told her what no one had ever explained before. Marvin's body was severely dehydrated, and that likely triggered his fall. Most people don't realize this, but your body wakes up dehydrated every morning. Hours of sleep without water leave your blood volume lower, your circulation slower, and your muscles more prone to fatigue. For seniors, that dehydration can mean dizziness, weakness, or sudden blood pressure drops, especially when standing in a hot shower. Add in the warmth of the water, the upright posture, and a bit of early morning fatigue, and you have a perfect storm for a bathroom fall. Dr. William Parker, a leading geriatric hydration researcher, explains it simply. For seniors, dehydration doesn't always feel like thirst. It feels like lightheadedness. It feels like a slip waiting to happen. The solution? So simple. It's often overlooked. Now, every morning before Marvin showers, he drinks a full glass of water, about 8 ounces. He keeps the glass on the nightstand, and it's the first thing he does after getting out of bed. Within 15 minutes, he feels steadier, clearer, and ready for the day. That one small step turned out to be a life-saving habit. So here's a question for you. When you wake up tomorrow, will your body be ready for the shower? Or will it be silently running low, just waiting for the right moment to tip you off balance? Don't wait for a scare. Start with a sip. 6. When no one is there to hear you fall. At 5:45 a.m., the sun hadn't yet risen over Florence Green's quiet home in rural Indiana. The air was cool, the house was still, and Florence, at 74, was beginning her usual morning routine. A quick shower before her morning coffee and crossword puzzle. But that morning, something went wrong. She slipped. One moment she was steady. The next, she was on the cold tile floor, her leg bent painfully beneath her, the steam rising around her like fog. She tried to move, tried to call out, but no one was there. Her phone was in the living room, the bathroom door was closed, and Florence lived alone. It wasn't until almost 9 a.m. that her neighbour knocked on the door to drop off some mail and heard faint banging from inside. Florence had been lying there for over 3 hours, soaked, in pain, alone. The emergency team said she was lucky. She didn't suffer hypothermia, and her fracture was treatable. But the fear lingered. The thought that had no one stopped by, she could have been there all day, or worse. This isn't rare. In fact, according to the Emergency Medicine Journal, falls that happen between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. often go unnoticed for hours, especially among seniors who live alone or have limited morning contact with family. The quiet hours of early morning become a dangerous silence. But there's a solution, and it's one every senior should consider. After her fall, Florence's son installed a waterproof emergency call button inside the bathroom, within arm's reach of the shower. It connects wirelessly to a base in the house and can alert family instantly. Now, if anything happens, help is just a press away. She also set up a daily check-in routine, a quick call or text with her daughter by 7:30 every morning. Just a minute of connection, a tiny ritual of safety. Because when it comes to bathroom falls, the fall itself isn't always what harms us most. It's how long we lie there waiting to be found. So ask yourself, or someone you love, if you fell at 5 a.m., how long would it take for someone to notice? If the answer is more than an hour, it's time to make a change. 7. When your mind wakes up slower than your body. Every morning around 5:30, Franklin Davis would begin his day the same way. Shuffle into the bathroom, turn on the hot water, and stand quietly, letting the steam clear away the sleep. It was his way of easing into the day, slow and silent. But one morning, something felt off. The water felt warmer than usual, but not unbearable. He adjusted the faucet, or so he thought. A minute later, he felt a sharp sting, his skin turning red where the water had become scalding hot. Franklin yelped and pulled back, but it was too late. He had second-degree burns on his left arm and shoulder. What shocked him most wasn't the injury. It was the fact that he hadn't noticed the change right away. Later, his neurologist explained something Franklin had never considered. Between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., the brain's cognitive function, especially in seniors, is at its lowest point of the day. Reaction time, decision-making, even basic awareness is slower. It's not about intelligence, it's about rhythm. Your brain hasn't fully woken up yet, even if your body has. Researchers at Stanford have found that reaction time in older adults can drop by up to 30% during early morning hours, making small bathroom misjudgments, like slipping on a wet tile or misjudging water temperature, far more likely. That's why the safest time for seniors to shower is during the late morning or early afternoon, ideally between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. By then, your mind is clearer, your senses are sharper, and your body has had time to fully engage with the day. Franklin's daughter also installed a shower timer with a soft chime that gently reminds him when it's time to wrap up. It helps him stay alert and aware of how long he's been under the water, preventing both overheating and zoning out. He now showers closer to noon and hasn't had a single issue since. So ask yourself this: are you showering when your brain is truly ready to provide for you? Or are you trusting foggy morning instincts that might not be up to the task? A small change in timing could mean the difference between a safe start to your day and a preventable accident you never saw coming. In the quiet moments of our daily routines, it's easy to forget how fragile life can be. A warm shower, a familiar hallway, a morning habit we've had for decades. These things feel safe. But as the years pass, even the smallest routines deserve a second look. Because aging isn't about losing strength. It's about learning how to care for ourselves with more wisdom, more awareness, and more grace. What we shared today isn't just about avoiding accidents. It's about honoring the life you've built, the independence you've earned, and protecting it with the same care you give to your loved ones. A few small changes can become acts of love, not just for your body, but for your future. So take this to heart. Safety isn't surrender. It's strength in another form. You're not being cautious because you're weak. You're being wise because you've lived long enough to know that every step, every breath, every quiet morning matters. And that's a lesson worth remembering at any age. If this video touched you or helped you see your daily routine in a new light, please take a moment to like and share it with someone you care about. And if you'd like more gentle, life-saving tips just like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Together, we can grow stronger, wiser, and safer.